You good, Coach?
Yes, sir.
All right. We're back with Coach James Payton, the world famous Coach James Payton in the Rio Grande Valley at Legacy Boxing Gym in Harlingen, Texas. We're talking about how you ended up in the Rio Grande Valley, coming all the way from Las Vegas, the fight capital of the world. How did you end up in the RGV? And, how did you end up here?
I came down here just to, as vacation and ended up liking it here. Long story short.
It's a pretty lively boxing scene, right? I mean, there's a lot of boxing for, smaller cities. There's a lot of boxing. Did you like the culture right away? And you say, all right, this is it's not Vegas, but this is a cool little fight city.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent here, untapped talent that, a lot of diamonds in the rough that, that people in bigger cities will, never get a chance to see. Some maybe, perhaps, or maybe they do. And then, you have the Brandon Figueroas and the Omar Figueroas and stuff like that, and the Eric Molinas and the Rafael Murphys and the Robert Lamanasas that have come out and showed that Angel and guys like that have come out and showed that there is true talent down here. Omar Juarez, Christian Roman, the list goes on. Sammy, Rolando Soto. There's a lot of talent, untapped talent that people, are starting to see from down here in the valley. The valley it's a hotbed for talent, definitely.
It for sure is. He said, since the Figueroa brothers, right? This generation coming up, there is a ton of talent. Sammy's obviously a part of that. There's Omar Juarez, who's doing big things. Got robbed in the decision with Rancis Bartolome. There's another kid, Fabian Diaz, who's really, really good. There's a lot of talent right there coming out of the Rio Grande Valley. I want to go back to Sammy real quick. When he walked into your gym after that long layoff, 225 pounds, did you ever think that he'd be back at this level? Did you think you'd get him here this quickly?
When Sammy walked in, like I said, after that first workout, it was just like he has something, he has something. And like I tell people all the time, like if a fighter's willing to put in the work, they can become anything they want to be. They're a blank canvas. It doesn't mean, and where he was at the point of his life where he was, it was just like, he was a blank canvas, and it was the choice if he wanted to do it or not. That's the thing that it comes to. The trainer can do the work, but the fighter has to do his part and put his side in also. So I always thought that, he had it in him to do it. It's just a point of pushing himself to achieve the dreams and aspirations that he wanted to achieve.
I wanted to get into that because the story, it's like an awe-inspiring story. It sounds like a movie. Talk about Sammy's first day in the gym with you and what you put him through, and just talk about that story a little bit for those who don't know about it.
The first day in the gym, Sammy walks in with his father. He's 225. I'm a guy that just, I don't say too much, but when he came in, I knew his past, and I just told him that I had rules here. And, if there was a day of training that he didn't make without a valid excuse, don't come back. If you did drugs, don't come back. If you drink, don't come back. If you don't want to put in the work on a daily basis, don't come back. And his father was there, and his father, I think that his father, liked the fact that I set ground rules from the beginning, because, most guys come in and they've been babied, or they could pretty much do what they want to do. And that's not the guy that, I am. I'm not a guy that's like, oh, well, I'm going to let you do what you want to do because of who you are, or what your amateur background is, or whatever the case may be. Like, you're coming to my gym. You want to do, you say that you want to be the best and put in the work. I'm not a yes man. I'm a guy that wants to put in work and do as much as I can do to make the best product and the best fighters and the best people. So yeah. The first day, I put him on the bag, and, he did jump rope, put him on the bag. He was puking, and I pushed him to his limit. And then I told him, you know what? Yeah, you can quit. The projectile vomiting everywhere. and he just started screaming and said, I'm not gonna quit. I'm not quitting. You can't make me quit. I'm not gonna quit. I'll die for this. So I was like, okay, we'll see. But he finished the workout, and the next day he beat me to the gym. So, I mean, the rest is history. Like I said, hard work beats natural talent 10 out of 10.
You got that right. And Sammy's got a bit of both, so that's a good thing. Were you shocked when you got roll up to the gym the next day and he's waiting for you? You're like, okay, I mean, this kid's for real.
I mean, I thought he would come, maybe. Maybe I actually thought he would come, maybe, but to beat me to the gym the next day, I was like, oh, okay, something's wrong with him, or he really wants it. But the next day, he came in, put more work in than he did the day before, and it just gradually became more and more and more. And then and like I said, he came in here 225. 50 days later, he weighed in at 145. So and he fought.
You've worked with a lot of world championship, world title fighters, world class fighters. How close is Sammy, and when do you think he'll be fighting at that level?
Like I said, it's kind of funny because we had this conversation. Me and his agent Kerry. We had this conversation a couple of days ago, and I truly believe that he'll be sometime next year, about this time, April, May, he'll be fighting for something big, a big fight. So I'm thinking, 4 fights. He has another. I think we have another 2 or 3, like 3 fights scheduled for this year. So early next year, definitely, middle of next year, definitely he'll be fighting for something big.
And it's going to be at 140. I talked to him the other day. He says he feels good. He feels comfortable at 140. Is that the weight that you want to keep him at?
I mean, 140 is a great weight. Could he make 35? Yes. I mean, he's done it. But I think that 140 for him would be the ideal weight, and he makes it, relatively easy. He doesn't have a problem making 140 at all. I mean, he can come in 138, 140. I mean, although sometimes that the contractor weight is 142, and he still comes on at the scale at 140. So he always wants to be on weight at 140.
The 140-pound division right now is a loaded division. Let me get your thoughts on this real quick. There's a fight coming up: Josh Taylor and Teofimo Lopez. What are your thoughts on that?
Whew, that's a great fight. In my opinion, I'm gonna go ahead and go with I'm gonna give the edge to Josh Taylor, just for the simple fact that I mean, Teofimo has natural talent. He has natural talent. He has the talent, but his last couple fights has been a little shaky. And then after his last fight, he himself if he still had it. Like, and when a fighter starts to question themselves and be like, "Do I still have it?" Like, it's not at that point. It's not training. It's mental. And like I tell people all the time, like the mental side of boxing is more important than the physical side. And 95% of the sport is mental. It's a mental game. It's chess, not checkers. I mean, everything's a setup. So when you start questioning yourself and doubting your ability, that wasn't just him saying that just to say it. I mean, that's what he's thinking inside. And so once he's thinking that, he has to change his mindset. So just based off that, Josh Taylor's going to come. He's going to fight. Teofimo can fight as well, but I'm edging. I'm going with Teofimo. I'm going with Josh Taylor to pull off a close fight.
Let me ask you from a coach's perspective,
but not taking anyone from. But
okay, go ahead. No, I want from your perspective, from a coach's perspective, right? Like Teofimo Lopez looked on top of the world when he beat Loma. He looked like the next great thing. Do you see anything in him that's fundamentally changed, or why do you think there's this kind of drop off in his performances from where he was with the Loma fight and prior to that, right? Because he looked like the next great thing, and then now is it just mental? Do you see something in him that's changed in the ring physically, or like what do you think this kind of drop off is due to?
I mean, boxing is hard enough, but then when you have personal problems on top of boxing, that's difficult already. But I think that at one point in time, Teofimo was very, 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 very hungry. And he wanted to prove to the world that how hungry he was and how great he was. And then it comes to a point where you beat Loma, you beat Loma, and everything is like, okay, well, what's next? And I think that he just became comfortable where it was. And he did a lot of touring. He moved around a lot. He did a lot of interviews, and before that, he wasn't really doing that. He was focused, buckled down training. I think that for him, I think that he wants to base everything off of power. He doesn't set anything up behind a jab. He's a good fighter and he can punch, but you got to bring more to the table than that. With the guys at the 140-pound division, there's that place is stacked. You got the best of the best. You got Regis, you got Jack Catterall, you got Taylor, you got you got Teofimo there too as well. You have a host of just big names that like it can literally.
Yeah, you got the monster.
Yeah, you have a huge roster on that side.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking you. 140.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
140 for Tia. You said ask me 140 for who? Teofimo, or just 140 in general for just anybody or Sammy? Or?
Yeah, no, for Sammy coming up, looking at that 140-pound division.
Like I said, styles make fights, and at that elite level, everybody can punch. It's just who has the better game plan and who has the better attrition, and who wants it more, and who implements the game plan and tries not to deviate from that. With Sammy, he's a boxer puncher. He can punch, he can box, he can move. He has a really good IQ. I think that he's a 5'9", 140-pounder. He's not a really, really big 140-pounder, but he's not a really small 40-pounder either. I think that his power will take over, or his power and tenacity will take over, and he's super aggressive when he wants to be. And a lot of those guys, when the boxers don't like to fight, like pure boxers don't like to fight, and Sammy being a boxer puncher, if you want to fight, if you're a mover, Sammy's gonna make you do what you don't want to do. He's going to make you fight, and it's going to come down to who wants it more. And I just don't think that I think there's some guys that are shaking that division that can they punch? Yes. But are they willing to get punched also? Or are they willing to take the steamroll and get walked down? You never know. So styles make fights, but I think that that Sammy has a huge upside at the 140-pound division, and I think that he'll make waves within the next year.
And we saw Sammy at a really early stages in the amateurs, the Texas Golden Gloves, where Virgil Ortiz was just destroying everyone, like destroying people. And he fought Sammy and he dropped Sammy, and Sammy got back up and ended up giving him hell late in that fight. He came up short with the knockdown and everything, but he turned it into a unforgettable war with Virgil Ortiz, and that's a killer at 147 who's probably going to 154. So Sammy can handle big guys, right? Like the big 140-pounder. Sammy's not going to back down from him or be afraid of him. The Josh Taylors and the Subaru Matiases and the really big 140-pounders. Is there times where Sammy is too aggressive and you have to reel him back in, because you see that Sammy was a straight pressure fighter, and now there's a lot more to his game, right? He can box in all three distances. He can move better. He uses his jab more. Is there can Sammy be too aggressive, and is there times you got to reel him back in a little bit?
Yeah, any fighter can be really, really, really overly aggressive and close distance too quick. That's one, but Sammy does a good job of understanding his range and trying to understand his range and make the fight to where he wants the fight to be. Look at his last fight. That guy was he was a mover, and Sammy just cut off the ring, was tenacious through speed. He didn't really worry about power too much until he went to the body. We know that the guy was going to move his head. He was going to slip and roll and rock back and do all this. But there's one thing that guy could not do. He could not move his body because Sammy was hitting him in the body as much as he wanted to, whenever he wanted to. That slowed the pace. So that slowed the fighter down, which slowed the pace of the fight down, which was much better for Sammy at the end of the day. So I mean, um, Sammy is aggressive sometimes, yes, but he can also box. But I mean, I don't think that you put the right guy in front of him to box, and you'll see he'll be able to box.
He's got a lot of skill. Like I said, you've taken him from a straight pressure fight.
And then the fight before that, he fought.
Go ahead. I think we're having a little connection issue. Go ahead.
And the fight before that, he fought Josh Ross, or a couple fights before that, he fought Josh Ross, which was a counter-punching boxer. So, what Sammy did was Sammy boxed him and, ended up stopping him late. I mean, because the pace was just too much for the guy to keep up with, So Sammy boxed him, and then he boxed him first and then punished him toward the end of the fight. So there's different levels and different facets to Sammy, and levels, there's levels to this, and Sammy does a great job at trying to change levels and impede on and put his game plan and implement his style and what he wants to do into a fight.
And Sammy will be back June 10th in Corpus Christi. He's main event in the fight there on the Reina Promotions card. Talk about, I know you got another stable fight. I want to get into, you work with Eric Molina for a while, right? You worked with him when he fought Wilder, correct?
Yeah, I worked with him. I started working with him when he fought Devero Williamson at the USC Galen Center on the Chris Arreola Bermain Stavern card. And then right after that, he fought Rafael Zumbano Love, which was one of his most impressive victories. I mean, I think he landed like 90% of his power punches or something like that, and ended up knocking him out in the last round. And then from there, I told him, hey, right after that fight, I was like, man, you know what? It was on the Wilder card. It was on the Wilder Bermain Stavern 1 card, and we're at the MGM Grand. And I was like, you know what, man? I think that, you stole the show. That's for sure. And I think we got Wilder next. And, everybody's seen how that played out, and he ended up getting that fight in that June in Alabama.
Talk about that for a second, right? You got Wilder, a guy who's flawed, but a guy who's got unbelievable power. How do you prepare a guy to fight Deontay Wilder? Like, what's the preparation and what's the game plan going into fighting a guy as powerful who can end the fight at any point like Deontay Wilder?
Yeah, I mean, the whole camp, what I was telling Eric is that you got to bully the bully, and everybody had seen Wilder. Every fighter tried to box Wilder. So what I wanted Eric to do was I wanted Eric to try and bully Wilder. Everybody knows that Eric has a huge right hand. So what we worked on that camp was a left hook. And I think it was round 3 or 4. And Eric hit him with the left hook. And the whole camp, we were like, man, if you hit him with that left hook, follow with the right hand, because he will never think that you're going to throw a left hook. Wilder went to throw the right hand. Eric hit him with the left hook, and he buckled him, and he just forgot to throw the right hand. If not, I think Eric would have been the WBC champion.
I was going to ask you, what's the right hand behind that?
I mean, we worked on that. We worked on that left hook. I mean, all camp. It wasn't the longest camp in the world. I think it was like 6 weeks, But I mean, when he hit him with that left hook, it was picture perfect. Wilder he dropped that right hand to throw it, and Wilder had a little bit of a flaw when he threw that right hand back in the day, to where he dropped it a little bit before he threw it. So when he went to drop that shot, and we practiced that for a whole camp, and Eric hit him right on the button with the left hook, and Wilder got shook, but he didn't drop the right hand, but it was a hell of a fight. Eric showed hella heart. He got up, even when he got knocked down. And I just remember what Eric said before he even fought. He was like, man, he's going to have to kill me to win this fight. I don't care how many times I'll get knocked down. I'm going to get back up. And he proved to himself and the world that, he was able to get back up and fight through adversity. He ended up hurting Wilder. And honestly, until Wilder fought Fury, I thought that was the hardest fight that Wilder ever faced in his life, because at that point in time, Wilder was knocking everybody out inside of 3 rounds. And that fight right there, if I'm not mistaken, it went 9.
Yeah.
9.5 rounds. And Wilder had never gone that many rounds, and every odds maker had Eric getting knocked out in the second round or the first round. So, I give Eric a lot of credit for getting up and fighting through adversity and giving everybody the blueprint to beat Wilder. I mean, the blueprint to beat Wilder was to pressure him. He needs range on that right hand, and if he can't have range on that right hand, you can bully him and get close to him. And look what Fury did. All Fury did was put all that weight on him and grab him and hold him and touch him and press him and close distance and stuff like that. So I mean, I think Wilder won the first fight by knockout. That could be debated with a second count or whatever the case may be. But Fury came back and knocked out Wilder 2 times in a row. So you can't stop.
Yeah.
You can't debate that. So that was the game plan to beat. That was definitely the game plan to beat Wilder, to push him back and make him uncomfortable. And like I said, I give Eric, I salute Eric, fight through adversity and giving the fans and giving himself an opportunity to become great.
We got to give you a lot of credit for coming up with that game plan, right? Because at that point, you're right. Everyone wanted to box him from the outside, which is like counterintuitive because you're standing in line for the straight right hand, right? So you got to get on him, cut off the distance from him, and at that point, no one was doing that. I mean, that's kind of what you were seeing, right? I mean, if you give him range, he's going to land the right hand at some point, right? Like you can box him great, like Luis Ortiz did, and eventually he lands the right hand, and it's over.
Yeah, I mean, it's never if, it's when Wilder hits you. It's never if. Like, everybody has to be great for 36 minutes, and Wilder has to be good for 1 second. I mean, he hits you with the right hand. I mean, it's pretty much over. So, yeah, I mean, you're fighting an uphill battle, but if you're fighting an uphill battle, put yourself in the best position to win, and the best position to win is pressure him as much as possible. So, if you touch him as much as possible, put your weight on him and impose your will on him, eventually he's going to get tired. Like, Wilder's never been the guy to have the best energy and the best stamina in the world, So if you push him and make the fight uncomfortable and stay in his wheelhouse and stay in his face and just keep touching him and just keep chopping him down, eventually, you'll end up getting him. And, like I said, Eric presented the blueprint to beat Wilder, and then and Fury capitalized on that. So, I mean, again, Fury's a tough man, tough dog. I mean, when he got knocked down by Wilder, I never thought he was going to get up, but he got up like the Undertaker. So like Sammy always says, if you can beat addiction and mental health, and if you can beat those things, like, nobody can stop you, especially if you come back strong like they did. So, Tyson Fury had his problems with addiction and mental health, and he came through it, and so I mean, he's already beat death. So I mean, what can he be scared of? He's going to get up. So when he got up, I mean, the whole world was surprised. I was surprised too, but he got up, and he was out and got up and got the draw, and then came back and imposed his will. Came in at 280 and imposed his will on him, knocked him out, and then the last fight was an epic fight, a hell of a heavyweight fight. And Wilder knocked him down. He knocked Wilder down, and then knocked Wilder out. So like I said, salutes to Eric for getting the blueprint and showing how much will he had. And a shout out to Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury for giving us a great heavyweight fight trilogy also.
I want to get your take on one more fight that was just announced. I'm still skeptical, but it was announced. Crawford and Spence, fellow Texan. What's your take on that? How do you see that going down?
Honestly, man, I think that they're both generational talents. Crawford, I mean, I've met both of them. They're both really, really good guys. I see it as a 50-50 fight. I know that you're going to try and try and get me to pick an edge of who I'm going to take, but I like both guys. And I don't know. I mean, it's pressure versus boxer. It's southpaw versus conventional, and then southpaw, speed, power, aggressiveness versus a mover. Since you're going to put me on the spot, I'll go with 50-50. How about that?
All right.
I'll
No,
go
I get it.
50-50.
It's that kind of. I go back and forth on it too. I wake up Monday, I say Spence. I wake up Tuesday, I say no, probably Crawford. I get it. It's really hard to pick a winner, and neither guy
I
has
mean,
lost yet.
I do the same thing. I'm, I mean, I do the same thing. Like you wake up one day and you say Crawford. You wake up one day you say Spence. I mean, both have hell of a trainers. Like Bo Mac's a hell of a trainer. You got Derek James is a hell of a trainer. And so they both have world class trainers. So and they're both world class athletes. So like that's what I'm saying. Like, the safest thing to say is 50-50. Like I mean, anything can happen. It is boxing. Anything can happen. And I like both guys. So I don't want to. I like both guys and I respect both guys, but so I don't want to go ahead and make a public announcement on how I feel about the whole situation. But I'll just take it a 50-50 fight, and at the end of the day, the fans win. The fans definitely win with this fight.
No, if it happens, like we've been down this road before. If this actually happens this time, no, this is a home run for the fans. Speaking of world class trainers, Coach James Payton will be back with Sammy Castaneda in Corpus Christi on June 10th in the main event. Coach Payton, you got a great gym there in Harlingen, Legacy Boxing. Any other fighters that we should know about? Anyone you're working with? Anyone that you have an eye on that we should know about who's going to do big things?
I have Mark Buke from Corpus Christi. He trains here. I have Rolando Soto, El Nino. We're actually taking him from Bridgerweight. We're going to bring him back down to cruiserweight to 200 pounds. We have Nestor Medellin. We have a host of talent. I got Christian Roman, who's gonna be fighting, at the end of July or beginning of August. He's back in. He's back in the gym. He's training too. So I'm excited. I have all my guys back in here, and they're all working. Jose Charles just came back to come back to the gym too to train here also. So I have a host of talent here, and I'm just blessed that to have the opportunity to work with such great guys and to be in a position to make something special.
Okay, so Jose Charles is back. I know he went out and trained in San Antonio for his last camp. That didn't go so well. So Jose Charles is back with
he
you?
came. Yeah, he came back. I want to say like last week, this week. They actually just sparred. He did. They were been working this morning. So iron sharpens iron. Got some good sparring in this morning. So, he came back and he's looking to be fighting. In the next couple months or so. Also, so definitely have to make some changes. To his to what he wants to do, and work on some footwork and defense and stuff like that. But Jose's a hell of a fighter also. He has a great background. So I'm just thankful to have the opportunity to work with all these guys, like I said, and be blessed enough to be able to have these the quality of skills of guys in the gym, and that give me opportunity to work with them and trust me with their lives and to make them better in their career.
There's two other guys I wanted to talk to you about. Christian Roman is an undefeated. He's a 140 pounder. Also, is that right? He's saying at 140.
He was at 135, but he's going to be moving to 140.
He's been out of the ring for a little while. It's been probably a year and a half or so. How's he looking?
Yeah,
how's camp going
a year.
With him?
Yeah.
When you said what card is he fighting on?
We're looking to try and get him on a card in late July, maybe and maybe early August in Louisiana or Houston, one of those.
And is he sharp? Is he ready to go? How's camp going? Because he's a good little fighter. I think he's 4-0. Is that right? 4-0, 5-0.
Yeah, he's 4-0. He's 4-0. Christian is really, 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 really talented. I call him a human cheat code. It's kind of unfair, but he's a southpaw, very slick, very speedy, great feet, great IQ, just big puncher with both hands. So I mean, we're just trying to get him back to where he wants to be at. He has some weight to lose. Trying to get him to do double sessions and get in the gym and be active. I mean, he's been coming to the gym. He's been active. So I just can't wait to see can't wait to see him be able to showcase his skills also. Like Sammy said, Christian's the reason why. Sammy said, Christian's the one that brought him to the gym, and now it's he wants to see Christian, and I want to see Christian. Everybody wants to see Christian shine as well.
And Christian could be the third world champion from Weslaco, Texas. Little town's got put out a lot of boxing talent, and Christian Romano is a really good fighter. Mm-hmm. And then I wanted to add Mark Buke before. He's
a really good talent.
Mark Buke is he looked really good in his last performance back in February. When can we expect to see Mark again? And talk about his progression, because Mark Buke is extremely talented. He's long, he's rangy, he's also powerful on the inside. Talk about kind of Mark Buke, when we can see him back, and your thoughts on his progression since you started working with him.
Mark Buke is a human cheat code. He's really to fight at 154 or 160. He's a very, very, very big guy. Like people don't understand, but he's a very big guy. 6'1", 6'1", make the weight no problem. Boxer puncher. Mark should be back in the gym or back in the ring. We got a date. But I'll tell you first off camera. It's for late September, but I'll tell you off camera who it is and where it is. But it's a very big fight. It's a good fight. Good.
He looked phenomenal his last fight, and Mark is something like you see this big strong kid. You expect him to fight one way, but then he rolls on the outside. He uses his jab. He moves. He's not what you expect from him, right? Don't judge a book by its cover, because he looks like he's going to just be a banger who wants to use his physical strength, but he's really, really, he moves well, he jabs well, and he rolls well. He's really, really skilled on the outside. When you started working with him, I know you've been working with him for a couple of years, were you surprised on how athletic and how mobile he was?
Of course. I mean, you never look at a guy that big and say, oh, well, he's going to be that fast or that elusive. Or have that type of footwork, or have that IQ, So he's, like I said, he's a very, very, very special fighter. He's multi-dimensional. He can fight inside. He can fight outside. He's slippery. He can counter you. He can use speed. He can bang with you. He can punch with both hands. He can go southpaw, fight conventional, and so. What more can you ask for? And he's super disciplined. I'm talking about the kids in the gym 3-4 times a day, just training, whether it's weight training, whether it's running, whether it's hitting the bag, whether it's just being in the gym, just working out. I mean, he's in the gym, that kid's in the gym 3-4 times a day. So, I mean, I can never question his ability or question his integrity if he wants it, because he puts himself in a position every day to succeed. He gets up and he goes, and he's training all day, and he just wants to be the best version of himself. So he puts himself in the gym all day, every day. He goes to the gym, or the local gym over there, and Corpus Christi, and he also helps out the kids and stuff like that. So so he's always putting himself in a position to succeed. So I honestly think that Mark Buke can be a world champion at 154 pounds or 160, because he's just that good.
He's a special talent, Mark Buke. His record isn't a shine. He's taking short notice fights, but if you see the progression, you can see all the talent is there. Coach James Payton, I appreciate your time. It's wonderful having you on. I know you don't have any social media or anything, but anyone you want to give a shout out to, or any sponsors you want to give a shout out to, anything like that?
I just want to thank Kerry, Mr. Daigle, for, believing in us and believing in me and believing in my team. I like to thank my strength and conditioning coach. I like to thank my fighters, because they put their grind in. I'd like to thank you for giving opportunity and always reaching out to us to hear from us or get what's coming up. You know, I just I think the guys for the support, and I think the Valley for the support of being supporting us and supporting my fighters and stuff like that. I'd like to thank Pound for Pound for always reaching out to us and putting us on on levels and on their cards and stuff like that. Louis Villarreal, thank you so much. I appreciate you too. I appreciate him. And we do have, the gym does have an Instagram now. It's called the Legacy Boxing Gym on Instagram. So you guys can reach out and look out to that. And, we'll always update you guys up on that and give you guys updates on what's coming up and stuff like that.
Appreciate your time, Coach. Thank you for your time. I'm going to end this right now, and I'm going to hang on. I'm going to talk to you off air real quick. Thank you for your time, and God bless.